And we are back with the fifth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fifth segment, we are going to talk a little bit about Paul George and the free agency and, how the Sixers, well, specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about the Sixers and their opinions on free agency with Paul George. I don't agree with it whatsoever. I actually cannot believe that this is the approach that the Sixers are, taking when going into the free agency market. But this is going to be about Paul George, and it's also going to be about Zach Lavine. Now, according to this report, the 76ers are not targeting Paul George in free agency. And I have to ask, why? Can anyone in the comments answer that question for me? Why are you not trying to acquire somebody as good as Paul George? Even though you have the cap space, you have you have a good enough team to be able to compete, why are you not trying to acquire somebody like Paul George? Especially after this recent postseason where you got completely destroyed by the New York Knicks, and not to mention Tobias Harris got completely destroyed by the Sixers media, scoring 0 points in an elimination game. I don't know what it is about Philly, but it's like every single time there's always going to be that one player that just sells the game when the series or the game is in the balance. Ben Simmons did that in one year. Then after that, James Harden did that 2 times in a row. Then we have Tobias Harris, who scored 0 points in an elimination game. And I have to ask, why are you not trying to pursue Paul George in this free agency and just let Tobias Harris walk? Like, why? I'm so confused. The Sixers, according to this report, they've been connected to Paul George for some time now. However, Shams recently reported that the 76ers' interest in George has significantly waned. Whatever that means, which I'm assuming it means they're less interested. This is surprising as George is a star player and would be a great fit for the 76ers, which is what the article is saying and which is what I'm saying. Like, he is such a better Tobias Harris than Tobias Harris. He can do everything on the basketball court. He can play defense, he can shoot, he can dribble, he can play make. He can do all of these things. Why don't you want to put this player on your team? I don't understand it. The only downside to Paul George are the injuries, which might backfire for them, honestly, now that I think about it, because, Joel Embiid gets injured a lot, and then Paul George, he gets injured sometimes in the postseason as well, so that might backfire for them. But aside from all that chatter, having someone like Paul George who might get injured is so much better than having someone like Tobias Harris who might not get injured, but again, doesn't really do much when he's there. So I personally think that this is a huge missed opportunity for the Sixers, because it's like, why are you not engaging in trade talks with this guy? Or in signings with this guy, not trade talks. That's my bad. But he's been a member of the Clippers since the 2020 season, ever since, the Clippers gave up almost I dumb it all down and I say 16 draft picks, because the amount of picks that they gave up for Paul George is a lot. And the fact that they have 0 championship to show for it honestly makes this seem to be like one of the worst trades in recent NBA history. Now, the Clippers, they're yet to extend Paul George. He's still a free agent option. Despite having plenty of opportunity and already having Kawhi Leonard, it appears George might be leaving this offseason. Only a select few teams would be able to afford Paul George in this offseason, and the 76ers have been the main team that's been connected to him. But if they go elsewhere, Paul George could be left with a really terrible market. Now, the Sixers, they've been disappointed in the playoffs through the Joel Embiid era. The team has been searching for star teammates to play alongside him, but continues to fail. Ben Simmons, James Harden, Jimmy Butler it really seemed like that fit was going to be fantastic, but it's just like it was just 1 year. And they haven't found a good enough fit for Paul George. Maxey is a rising star, so, that's a good option. But the Sixers, they could have that. They could really use another piece to the offense and even the defense, because Paul George is a fantastic defender. And well, not really, fantastic, but compared to the average NBA player, he is a very good defender and great defender, honestly. But again, the Sixers, they could use that piece. 76ers, they have a lot of cap space, and Paul George would be a perfect fit for that. He could play the wing, provide elite scoring, and be a good defender. He can play on, off the ball. Sixers, I don't understand why the Sixers aren't interested in somebody like him. It doesn't make any sense. Can somebody in the comments please explain to me why they aren't pursuing Paul George? Give me one good reason why they don't want to pursue Paul George, please, because I can't think of one. Is there another free agent in the market that's better than Paul George? I didn't see any free agents that were better than Paul George. Other than LeBron, which is literally the only other player that I have over Paul George on my free agency list. You can go ahead and watch that video on the sports channel, on the podcast channel, whichever you want. But I don't know. I'm stunned at this. I'm genuinely stunned at how they just don't want to pursue Paul George. And please, somebody let me know in the comments what you guys think of this move, because I think this is horrible. I think this is bad for the Sixers, because this does not make sense. And another thing that also I just can't wrap my head around is that, okay, they're not interested in Paul George. Sure, that's fine. Why are they also not interested in Zach Lavine? There was a report going out. I'm just pulling it up right now. There was a recent report about how I talked about how the Bulls, they were engaged in trade talks between other teams and the potential trading of Zach Lavine. So that's the thing. That makes sense. The 76ers, they're not interested in trading for the Bulls' Zach Lavine for whatever reason. And I don't know why. Why don't they want to trade Tobias Harris or any of the other players that they have and just try to get Zach Lavine? The Bulls are very, very eager to trade Zach Lavine, and they've been eager to trade Zach Lavine. It seems like they're trying to blow up the roster. This would be a great time to get Zach Lavine, maybe even on a budget deal. Who knows? But the Bulls, they're really attempting to trade Lavine this offseason, and the problem is that they can't find someone that would take him at the trade deadline, which was the big problem, which has always been the problem, honestly, for the Bulls. Chicago, they just won. The Chicago Bulls, they've only had one playoff. They've only won one playoff game since getting Zach Lavine from Minnesota. My bad. I don't know why I stuttered so horribly, but Lavine, he only played 25 games this season. He underwent season-ending right foot surgery in February. So, again, the value is so much lower for Zach Lavine. Zach Lavine, when he's healthy, is a fantastic player. He's a two-time All-Star. He averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot 45% from the field, 34% from beyond the three. This is the time to get somebody on a budget deal, because you could make the argument that you have no idea how good he is going to be post coming from injury, and you could use that to your advantage as a team. And he signed a 5-year, $215 million contract with the Bulls in 2022, and he'll make $43 million next season and $45 million next season, which is a little bit, it's a lot. It is a lot. I genuinely will say, that's a lot of money. But it's still a better option for your team than just not getting Paul George. Why are you not interested in either? I don't understand. And I swear, if they go into this offseason and they don't make a single offseason move, I'm going to laugh so hard. It seems like I'm angry, but I'm honestly, I'm laughing on the inside, because this is just a hilarious this is a hilarious move from the Sixers, that just not caring about Paul George. Again, hilarious, because why wouldn't you care about Paul George? But the reason why it sounds like I'm this upset is because it's I don't get by things that don't make any sense to me, and this is one of the things that just doesn't make any sense to me. But Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Which player would be a better fit? Do you think Paul George would be a better fit? Do you think Zach Lavine would be a better fit for the Sixers? Or do you think none of them would be a good fit for the Sixers, like how the Sixers believe, and just not get any of them? I mean, imagine they get Klay Thompson. Of all the free agents that they would want to pursue, I mean, I could see it working. Yes, I can see it. But getting Klay Thompson over someone like Paul George, I think it's a huge missed opportunity. A huge missed opportunity. Because Paul George, like, he could do everything that Klay Thompson can do, but a lot better now. Like, that's genuinely the thought process that I have. Like, Paul George can do everything that Klay Thompson can do. It's just a lot better. He can be a playmaker. He's a dribbler. He's also a great shooter. And let me just go ahead and look at his percentages real quick. Yeah. He shot 40% from the three-point line this year, which is on 7 attempts, which is, close to which is close to Klay Thompson's 9 attempts. And again, he's shooting very, very efficiently he's not shooting that efficient from the field, but from the three is really the big difference maker here, in my opinion, because here you have, because Klay Thompson, he's known for his 3-point shooting. And here you have the option to acquire somebody who shoots better from the 3-point line than him, while also being a better option overall, just as an overall basketball player, because, that's just the player that Paul George is. So, but that's my opinions on it. Let me know exactly what you guys think of this move in the comments. Let me know if you agree with it. Let me know if you disagree with it. I genuinely do not like how they're not pursuing any of these guys or Paul George specifically in this free agent market. I just don't like it. Now, that is all I have for this show, and that's going to be the end of this podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And I also would like to remind you to please go ahead and use the link in the description to tip and to donate to get your comments recognized. It's also displayed below the ticker on every single show segment, as you could see. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys. That is all I have for you today on this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care. Let's
go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna